Hey, this is head coach Jordan here from Without Bounds. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, we're going to be discussing one of my favorite topics, probably the topic that I will bring up again and again and again in most of my content, simply because it has been the gateway to my expanded universe, a gateway to my expanded self and consciousness, to my self mastery, anything, you name it. What is this? What is this thing, Jordan? It is the mystical experience. The what? The mystical experience. Now, the mystical experience, you might be sitting there wondering, what is it? What does it mean to this guy here? Why is it even important? And how do I know if I've had a mystical experience? What kind of mystical experiences has this guy right here had? Well, you hold your horses. We're getting there. So, the mystical experience, my friend, it could be framed as something, an experience that all at once brings you into the profound, brings you into connection, often sometimes a deep connection with something bigger than yourself, something bigger than yourself. Now, typically, you're overcome with heightened levels of emotions you might rarely experience or have yet to experience, kind of wild ecstasy or incredible that are at times profound yet moving. It could be something like grief, even, or sadness, something that deeply moves you, something that shakes you to your core. That, for me, is the mystical experience. And again, for me, the mystical experience is that direct connection to that bigger thing. Now, sometimes we call that the divine, we call that God, um, or just this initiatory or spiritual initiates. We in the spiritual community, you are initiated if you know the fact that all is one. And that mystical experience brings you into direct connection with that oneness, that feeling of continuity with all that surrounds you and is. So, with that in mind, let me share my screen. Let me just hit some buttons here on my end. 1 second, dear friend. All right. So I'm going to place myself here in the corner. Hopefully, I'm out of the way of most of the content and we can have some fun and enjoy. Shall we? We shall. All right. So, life is more than meets the eye. Life is more than meets the eye. Ever since I was a kid, I've always felt connected to something bigger than myself. Have you? Have you just felt like you're in this little shell, this, as Alan Watts calls it, our meat sack? Have you felt just atomized and in your individual self, or have you felt at times that you're continuous with the environment around you, as if, there's something else going on here? So again, ever since I was a kid, I've had this feeling. And in time, I've learned to categorize, or at least, qualitatively understand what that feeling is. And those feelings could be feelings of ego death or a disappearing of a sense of me or I. Um, it could be like a loss of that subject object dualism, like the computer is over here and I am over here, but really there is just this oneness, this continuity, this sense of disappearing self in the midst of a greater, flow of reality. Now, that also has been for me, like I've categorized this as sometimes being connected to greater spiritual beings, just a greater spiritual connection in general. And that sense of being connected to something bigger than myself has allowed me to develop this connection, this understanding that life is more than meets the eye. And, that aside, that feeling, that continuity with reality feeling, that aside, the physical reality we live in is marked by what could be called a signature, nature's signature, a kind of repeating or rhyming quality that resonates from the lowest organization of matter to the highest organization of things. Um, so, for instance, that signature of nature, it'll show up in things like the structure of a water molecule, being that what is it, the isosceles triangle? But I think two of those angles are the same, two sides are the same. So think that also makes it somewhat like a obtuse triangle also because it's got that angle. Sorry, I'm just riffing here on geometry that I have momentarily touched up on. Um, that said, the shape of that water molecule, when manipulated, can form a pentagram. And that pentagram has its geometric solid, it's got its sides, and it's amazing how that shape is just appearing in nature just on its own. But then you've got the Fibonacci spiral, which is probably beyond my ken to explain here. But ultimately, what you see in the little pictures there is that Fibonacci spiral is present in all of nature from the inner ear, your cochlea. Uh, sorry, it's a funny word. To the greater expanse of the galaxy itself. The Milky Way is a spiral. It's like this spiraling nature, this fractal regression and fractal expansion is present in so many aspects of your life and so many hidden things in the world, from flowers to conch shells to your inner ear, etc. It's amazing. So again, there's this rhyming or repeating quality of nature that shows up in so many different levels and so many different strata, things that you are able to pay attention to, things, levels to which you can direct your attention and see that signature, see that repeating and rhyming nature. Now, friend, I'm no guru or a spiritual priest, yet I'm here to tell you that by uncovering the mystical in your life, you can have a key to your own salvation. I don't have the key to your salvation. I have my hands full working on this guy here, and that's enough. However, I am a coach, and I am here to guide you to wherever your spirit can and will take you. It's my personal mission and our mission here at Without Bounds to heal, uplift, and empower others. Empower you. And part of that mission is to spiritualize life, to invite you to allow a sense of sacredness to flow into your day to day life, to make the mystical mundane, not to make it not important, but to make it a part of your everyday life. So, from the aha moments to those epiphanic moments of satisfaction, epiphanies, we call them, to meeting the person who, changes your life forever. If you grant yourself enough freedom and flexibility and be open to experiences, you will see the threads connecting you to everything around you. So, for instance, and again, not again, but you'll just be surprised by the ways in which those threads reveal themselves to you if you're paying attention, if you're open to them. You know, it was over 10 years ago now that an ex and I had broken up. We broke up at the end of August. And, I was in a receptive mode, knowing I need to leave this behind. I need to let this go. She needs to let me go so that I can open up to the person who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, to the person who I'm attracted to, who I want to be with, who lights my fire, is my fire. And within, it could be, it might have been like 2 days, 1 day, 3 days. Between that 1 3 day window, I met the woman who is now my fiance 10 years ago. And we had discovered that not only did we discover each other like that, but she had just broken up with her ex, who was born 3 days before me. And my fiance, was born 2 days before my ex-girlfriend. So it was like, I'm a Pisces, she's a Leo. I know you're like the fish and the lion. You're gonna get burned she's gonna eat you up. Yeah, she does every day. But hey, we're still here. For me, it was like, wow, am I the Pisces that gets to make it right for her? And is she the Leo that gets to make it right for me? We get a do-over and we get to do it right? Well, 10 years later, here we are. We're getting married next year. So I am when I say that the threads connect you in ways that will surprise you, I sincerely mean it. If you have stories like that, please share them below. I really would love to hear those moments, those things that have really surprised you, really shown you the divine or mystical nature of your life. And if you've never had anything like that, I want you to sit there and reflect. I want you to pause this video now, reflect, think about, and invite yourself. Say to yourself, can I have a memory, a moment come to me where I realize that things were connected in ways that are truly beautiful, truly. So some people, some people see coincidences, my friend. But if you're like me, which I suspect you are, you see synchronicities. I see synchronicities. And, by being open, by staying open, you'll experience things like I have. For me, it's led me to explore healing modalities. I spent 10 years as a massage therapist before pivoting into coaching. And, I was able to discover by being open different cosmologies of reality and existence, things that I have yet to share that, have blown my mind and will, I trust, blow yours as well. Um, but also secret teachings. We got our friend Manly P. Hall on the side here. It's no accident, to discover his teachings and his introduction to the occult and showing me how much of my life has been just a continuous revealing. But I've also been exploring and have, by being open, I've explored different energy and meditation practices and even psychedelics. But we won't go there yet. But for me, by being in this open state, by being open and aware, it's allowed things to sync up. It's allowed my life to unfold in a way that shows me that signature is present inside me and in everything around me. So I have these three questions here. For me, I've discovered that these three forces in the world, wisdom, power, and love, are at root perhaps what makes the human life a divine experience. So wisdom abounds. Wisdom abounds. Are you listening? Are you open to the kinds of tools, the kinds of approaches and techniques, the kinds of mindsets and heart mindsets that will expand your consciousness, that will let you tap into something bigger than yourself and have the chance to make the mystical mundane, see the mystical in all things? And then power abounds. Are you tapping in? Power is we could say that all is power, that the world is just filled with potential waiting to be actualized. The acorn becomes the tree, the the little sperm and egg becomes the you. It's like, are you tapping in to the nature of what can unfold, what can become? Are you the sculptor at your block ready to chisel away and take energy and move the world, move yourself? And then love abounds. Are you giving it? Are you tapping into that highest frequency, that highest energy level within you and around you? Are you seeing the good in yourself, seeing the good in others, and allowing that sacredness to flow out of you? What is that the Bible verse from? I think it's from Matthew. And of course, the Jew here is quoting the Bible, but forgive me, Christians, if I miss the mark here. But what it says is, to those who have, more will be given, and to those who have not, more will be taken away. So what does that mean? If you have love, more will be given to you. The more that you have it, the more that you give it, abundance abounds. You will find that your store of love grows. You will find that the store of love, the capacity for love, the ability to share it and exchange it and receive it grows with you. And if you have not, well, you have to figure out what that's like. So, knowledge, my friend, knowledge is impotent on its own. But applied knowledge is power and wisdom. And for me, the knowledge that I've gathered in my life is only fruitful when applied. Otherwise, knowledge of a thing or a fact in and of itself is inert. What is inertia? It is that which is, at rest will stay at rest unless acted upon. Applied, or that which is in motion will stay in that trajectory, doing the things that make you crazy, that make others crazy. You will continue in that direction until a force is applied. Oh, there's that word again. So knowledge, when applied, when that force moves the object at rest or in motion, we change the direction, we change the momentum, we change the trajectory of your life. And by being open to the mystical, by reflecting and incubating on a piece of knowledge, we allow a natural process of becoming to unfold. So by applying knowledge, you can stress test the truth of a fact, the truth of a fact. So again, the knowledge that I've gained has only been fruitful when applied. And simultaneously, I've allowed my life to unfold its own mystery, to flow. So, you can call it intuition, let's say, and intuition and the process by which intuition can be learned or understood are what feed into the broader system that I've personally developed to help individuals like you who are on a spiritual and healing journey. And through that intuitive process, we begin to approach what is true. We begin to discern and qualitatively qualify what is true for you. And is that a universal? Is that something that applies to us all? And by approaching truth, I leave this question here of what is truth? What is true? Now, at core, for me, love is the ultimate truth. It is the highest thing. There are facts of knowledge that we can gain along the way, but love just supersedes all that at the end of the day and will guide you, will be the anchor to your mystical, will be the anchor to see in your life that which is sacred and to make sacred yourself and the world around you. So, what is truth? The truth is that life is sacred, that you are sacred. I see the light in you, friend. So we'll end here. I promise you, stick with me. And in an upcoming video, I will explain to you, I will explore with you and lay it all out there on the line, the mystical experiences that I've had. But what does a mystical experience do for you? What at the end of the day are you experiencing underneath the hood? And this question here, are you experiencing a paradigm shift? A paradigm what? Shift. So how do you know what happens beforehand? How do you know, like, are you on the verge? Are you having one? How do you know? So before a shift occurs, you may feel stagnant or stuck or dissatisfied, or you may feel fine. You may feel good. And then all of a sudden, you're on the verge of something. You discovered a fact. You're open to something, you became a container for a piece of knowledge or an experience that just blows you right open. But also you might feel confusion. You might have that cognitive dissonance. We're in a world where it's kind of like everyone's living in separate realities, separate reality tunnels. It's like I got my set of truths and this is what's real to me, and you over there are living in the unreal world, the la la land of unreality. But again, you may feel cognitive dissonance. You may feel like you're teetering on the brink of something, almost like that tip of the tongue syndrome, right? Or you might view yourself and your life and your place in the world narrowly. You may feel like I have in my life, feel very disembodied, displaced, like things are just a bit meaningless. And who am I? And what am I even doing here? But by being open, again, having that open receptacle, you are the trash. No, you're not the trash bin. You are the open heavenly bin waiting for the mystical life to show up for you, to allow itself to unfold for you. So after a shift occurs, you may feel a natural high, mixed with awe, inspiration, surprise, shock. You may be animated by unseen forces like, I have to go meditate today. I've got to go and sit here and I've got to do some gratitude prayers, or man, I didn't drink any water today. I'm just compelled to drink this water. I'm compelled to drink this water. Thank you for bearing with me. But you also may feel like, I need to reach out to my dad today and check in on him. I just have this feeling, or I need to talk to the clerk there at the gym and ask how he's doing and see if he's having a good day. You might just feel compelled, impelled, drawn forth, pulled, not pushed, but pulled to do something. And you may have downstream of all that a new lens, a new way of seeing yourself and seeing life. You may feel peaceful all at once, like an overwhelming sense of, like, not overwhelming, but just a flooding sense of, or it could be, shock, whoa, things are just blowing your mind, depending on what has shifted for you. Your view of yourself and your life may have expanded into new dimensions unaware to you, or you can see new connections in dimensions that you already knew well or are well aware of. It might be that, I think back to when I first learned that, my father's youngest brothers have passed. One of them was my godfather. And both of them were gay. And surprisingly, as a kid, I had no freaking idea that they were gay. Um, but again, it's about it's the known and the unknown. And sometimes in the known things, you see things differently. You have a way of perceiving and conceiving of the old in a new light, let's say, right? So for me, I remember I was at dinner. I brought my friend. I was 10 years old at the time. I was with my mother, my brother, and my father had to go to my uncle's house to sleep over. And I said, oh, if dad's sleeping over, you know uncle's roommate, where's he going to sleep? And my brother, my mom, they look at each other, and it was like, oh, dad's sleeping on the couch because uncle's roommate sleeps in uncle's bed. Now, my uncle, of course, was with his partner for over 25 years, and his partner is also my uncle, one of my dearest, closest allies on this earth. But again, just to highlight how sometimes the old can be seen as new, and sometimes we just expand the horizons as well into new spaces, into the unknowns. I hope you're moving unbothered, friend. But that about wraps it up for us, my friends. I really do appreciate you joining with me here, sticking with me, um, getting a sense of what is the mystical, what is the mystical experience, why is it even happening? How do we know that there's this signature of something beautiful, bigger than you, divine, that is calling you forth to see how it's working for you. See, are you working with it? In the videos to come, in the time that we have together, I'm going to be exploring with you how to tap into that, how to lean in on that, and how to become an agent of that signature in the world, a spiritual habit, a spiritualized life, a sacred life, living a life of beauty, wonder, purpose, meaning. Again, my name is Head Coach Jordan here from Without Bounds, where we heal, uplift, and empower you. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to helping you add color to your life. Ciao.